This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, Biju miss.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, ma'am. We
Uh,
will start within 5 to 10 minutes. We will start within 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, ma'am.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay.
चलिए
Hello.
अशी मध्ये येऊ नको सांगते तर दिसतंय सगळं तिथे.
All the participants kindly mute your mic and camera for the better communication. All the participants kindly mute your mic and camera.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, ma'am.
You will make me a presenter later, no?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay.
Praneet, kindly mute your
हाँ
mic. Praneet, Ranshur, kindly mute your mic.
यस सर.
Biju ma'am, you are now presenter. You can share the PPT. You can share the PPT.
Directly I'll start.
No, ma'am. Introduction will be there. Wait for introduction will be there from our side.
Acha. So I'll just share the PPT.
Yeah. Wait for 5 minutes. I'm sharing your PPT. Wait for 5 minutes. Wait for 5 minutes. Wait for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you can share the PPT. After the introduction, you can share the PPT. After the introduction.
Yes, I just wanted to try whether it is happening.
Yeah. You can check it. You can check.
I'll check it now.
Yeah. Ma'am. You can check it now. Shiva Vishwakarma, kindly mute your mic. Shiva Vishwakarma, kindly mute your mic.
Yes, sir.
Again, I'm repeating for the participants, kindly mute your mic. Yeah, ma'am, your PPT. Yeah, ma'am, your PPT was visible. It's visible.
Okay. Okay, fine. I get it.
Okay. All the participants, I'm again requesting you kindly mute your mic and camera for the better communication, for the better understanding of the lecture. It's a request to all.
375 आ रहा था ना 382 का 7 बोल गया इंश्योरेंस वाला हो गया प्रॉब्लम और गेन हो गया इसीलिए तो इसमें ज्यादा बायोडाटा मत आईडी में बहुत आप दूसरे का मेरा में एक आया दिया ईमेल में देख आया कितने तारीख को टिकट है कितना कौन सा नंबर है इसका मेरा
हेलो
पैसा खाली करी
हेलो
ट्रैफिक में
या
हाँ नहीं सर शिवा माइक म्यूट ने मैसेज तो चालू से अजून तक
विश्वकर्मा काइंडली म्यूट योर माइक क्या हुआ प्रॉब्लम क्या हुआ
लेक्चर सुन रहा था 2 मिनट रुक नहीं सकता
Hello.
hello ma'am hello
I saw that you are no longer the presenter. I got to see like that.
just a second yeah you are now a presenter
Yes.
okay Madhuri ma'am hello Madhuri ma'am hello Madhuri ma'am hello Smita ma'am hello Smita ma'am hello Smita miss hello Smita miss oh. hello Smita miss
मोबाइल लेने को मन कर रहा है लेकिन फायदा नहीं है मेरा ऐप सब उसमें नहीं आएंगे बैंक में जाना पड़ेगा ऐप आने के लिए सब लोग गया 119 स्टूडेंट्स आए हैं बच्ची चाहिए मुझको जल्दी से कम देखिए उसके बाद जो बच्चे का
Hello. Hello.
हाँ मैम. Hello Smita miss. Smita ma'am. Hello Smita ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Hello
sir.
ma'am. Yeah, you are there now ma'am. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So we will start ma'am. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Introduction to our respected Vice Principal ma'am, today's respected resource person, Miss Biju Ramesh ma'am, my dear colleagues, and all my dear participants of this webinar from various colleges. I, Rupesh Patil, coordinator of IT department, heartily welcomes you all for this one-day intercollegiate webinar on project guidance guest lecture for all TY BSc IT academic year 2020-21 students, organized by our IT department of Matushri Kashiben Motilal Patel, Senior College of Commerce and Science. Let's talk about our institute. Matushri Kashiben Motilal Patel Senior College of Commerce and Science obtained permission in the year of 2008 for starting degree college and is affiliated to Mumbai University. Matushri Kashiben Motilal Patel Senior College of Commerce and Science is located 2-minute walking distance from Thakurli railway station and 8 to 10 minutes rickshaw distance from Domboli railway station. The college renders education leading to Bachelor of Commerce BCom, Bachelor of Management Studies BMS, Bachelor of Banking Insurance BBI, Bachelor of Accounts and Finance BAC, Bachelor of Science BSc Computer Science, and Bachelor of Science BSc IT. Now, I would request to our Smita ma'am to say few words about the webinar and our introduction of the today's resource person. Thank you to all. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, Rupesh, sir. Good afternoon and warm Kashiben Motilal, Senior Commerce and Science. I am Miss Smita Sonone, IT Lead, Matushri Senior College of Commerce and Science, the Department of Information Technology, organizing today on Monday for academic. We can select that most of the students they have the topics.
No, but I'm not able to go.
Will take topics of the project work. It's my great pleasure for me to introduce our resource person.
Smita ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
मॅडम तुमचा आवाज बिलकुल येत नाही. आवाज बिलकुल येत नाहीये.
Hello.
हॅलो. स्पीकरला जवळ घ्या मॅडम. स्पीकरला जवळ घ्या.
Hello. Hello.
या मॅम कंटिन्यू. या मॅम कंटिन्यू.
Okay. Oh. We have selected these topics for the today's webinar because most of the BSc IT students feel that project work is very difficult task and how to select the topics and which platform it get works. What type of documentation? Hello.
You continue. Yeah ma'am, you continue.
Should I continue, sir?
Yeah, continue. You can continue, ma'am.
Okay. What type of documentation and format of the synopsis? Definitely all your problems will be solved in today's webinar topic of project work. It's great pleasure for me to introduce our resource person, Ms. Viju Ramesh Madam. Madam has completed MPhil in Computer Science. Madam working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science. Madam working as an assistant professor in the Department of Information Technology of SIS College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Time West, since from 2003. Madam having 17 years teaching experience of all the programming subjects like C, ASP.NET with C Sharp, Python, and R languages. I kindly request the madam to continue our today's session. Biju madam, over to you.
Yes. Thank you, Smita.
Hello, madam.
Yes. Can I share this page?
Yeah, ma'am, you can share the PPT. You can share the PPT, ma'am, now. Okay, before starting the session, all the participants kindly mute your mic. It's a request to all. Otherwise, I will mute from my side. Shweta Karia, kindly mute your mic.
Is it visible, Rupesh?
Yeah, ma'am. Your screen now visible.
Hello.
Yeah, your screen now visible, ma'am. Hello.
Okay, fine. Yes. So shall I start? Am I audible?
Yeah, you are
Am I
audible. You
clear?
can start the lecture. Yeah, ma'am.
So, good afternoon, students. And this is, as you all know, this is just a project guidance lecture. And ma'am has already introduced me. I am from SIS College. So let me start off with the actual reason of this lecture, that is guidance for how to go about the project. Now, before starting off, I would like to boost you all by motivating you all, since it's an afternoon session. Let me not make you sleep, but be active in mind and listen to what I'm saying, because we are discussing about a very important part of this degree, BSc IT degree, that is the major or the project which is actually showing our capabilities. So this subject project will show our capabilities in some way or the other. What did we learn for these 3 years will be highlighted in this subject, that is the project work that we do. So since it is the lockdown period, we overthink a lot, and so overthinking is the biggest cause of unhappiness for us in this lockdown period. So let us hope, that is, let us hold on. All the pain that we are going through will surely end, and good things will surely come in our way. And we all know it's going to be hard, but hard does not mean impossible. So let's face it, let's be positive, and let's do what we can do in the best possible way. Okay. So now I start off. So first thing that I would like to discuss is the marks, because most of the students, I'm sure, who are attending this session are very much interested in knowing how much marks is being allotted for the project. Of course, it is more than what is being allotted for the subjects in each semester. It's around 200 marks, but it is being divided into 2 semesters. In semester 5, only 50 marks is being assigned. And if you see the slide, it is written documentation 50 marks. Now, what does this mean? So it clearly says that there is no implementation of the project that is being done. It is only what have you designed for with respect to the project? What are you going to do in the project? So all these things will be just jotted down in the form of a document, and you will submit the document. As you it is going to be a part of a subject. You have the project management subject. So it is going to be the practical component of the project management subject. And you all very well know the practical component only carries 50 marks. So that is why in semester 5, it is only 50 marks. Now next, in semester 6 is where you will actually implement the project. There also documentation, that is the black book that you will submit in semester 6. In semester 5, it's going to be just a spiral bound journal that you will submit, as you're submitting journals for other subjects. But in semester 6, you will be submitting the black book, the black bound book, where you'll have the documentation done, and that carries 50 marks. And the complete implementation that you have done, that is the software that you have developed, the Viva VOSI. These two together will gain you 100 marks. So in semester 6, it is 150 marks actually. So this is how the marks will be distributed for you with respect to the project. Okay. Next, this is a rule which has been provided by the University of Mumbai, that students are expected to work on real life project. But around 10,000 BSc IT students are in TY every year. Now the current number of students who are in BSc IT in third year is 10,000 under University of Mumbai. Now each of these students will not get a project, will not get a real life project. That is almost impossible. But some are lucky to get real life project because they have their parents or relatives working in some renowned institutions or organizations, so they get into that organization and they get real life project. But most of the time it is not possible. So also they have added another point, that you see the second point, it is not mandatory for a student to work on a real life project. So though of course you will be considered a level higher if you have a real life project, it is not that you will not get good marks because you are not doing real life project. You will be considered in par with the real life projects, but of course the real life projects will be considered a level up when compared to the projects which are not real life. Okay, so this is there. Though the rules say so, it can be relaxed too. If it can be relaxed if you are not getting a real life project, so that is not a problem here. Okay, so you can relax in that manner. You can it need not, though the rule says it should be, it can be relaxed too if you are not getting a real life project. So that is one thing. Then what are the softwares that you can use for your project? Now the front end, in SEM5 you will be studying ASP.NET with C#. So once the students study that subject ASP.NET with C#, students usually they get inclined to that subject, and they usually develop in ASP.NET with C#. And also they are studying Java. You have advanced Java, but now I think it is coming as an optional subject with the next generation, that is with MongoDB and all that. So you can choose whatever you want, but those are you can go for .NET, you can go for Java, you can go for anything that you have studied or anything that you have not studied. It is not necessary that the languages, the front end that you choose should be something that you have studied in the syllabus. It can be any new technology that is in there today. So that is not a problem. And if you go for any new technology, you study the new technology and you develop the project. You study a technology and you develop a project. Again, you're considered a level up when compared to the others who are going for old technologies, because you have put in time, you have put in efforts to study the new technology and develop the software. So anything that is possible for you, if you can work on it, no problem, you are welcome. Any new technology is welcome. That doesn't mean old technologies are not given importance. You can go for old technologies also. Of course, the new technology projects will be given consideration, say a level up or a step up. So that's the only thing with difference between the old technology and the new technology. So anything, see, as a software person, we all know any small code that we write, any small program that we write, we put in efforts. There is 100% effort, or we have to use our brain to the extreme to write, say, even a 5-line code. We need that much knowledge. Only then we can write even a 5-line code. So any language you use, your brain, you have put in some efforts to coin those 5 lines of code. So there is no need to worry saying you have chosen an old technology and some of your friends have done projects in new technology. You don't have to bother about that. So that is about that is the front end that I was talking about. Back end, as you all can see, the database. Those are working with database will have a n collection of database. So you can go for choosing any database. Again, the languages you see there, not so these are the languages almost which are present in your syllabus. So it is easy, since you have come across the languages, it will be easy for you. So R and Python is currently useful, especially for data analysis, data visualization. So you can go for such projects also, no problem. And in so in business intelligence, you have it also. So those who are good in that, you can go for that. Then the scripting languages, you can go for PHP, JSP, shell scripts, whatever you want, you can go for. And this is your conventional way of doing your project, using a front end, using a back end. You'll have all the languages and things like that. Nowadays, since you all have the subject IoT, which is an advanced version of embedded system, most of the students are very much interested in doing IoT projects. Now, the IoT projects, the things that you have to, the hardware that you have to use for the IoT projects is costly. I will not say you're getting it easily. You're getting it easily in the market, but it is costly. So for that, you have Raspberry Pi, Arduino. So all these things are there. So you can use that also. Now, for example, in my college, if I have 60 students, I have 20 doing ASP.NET, I have 20 doing IoT, I have 20 doing Java. So this is how it is happening in my college. So anybody can do anything. It is not necessary that you have to be in these 3 categories. Why they are in these 3 categories? Because they have all these subjects in SEM5. So students usually put themselves into these 3 categories. It is not necessary that you have to be in these 3 categories. You can go for anything. Now, what kind of applications you will develop? Though you can see there few listed, like financial, insurance, manufacturing, and all these are the conventional way of developing an application. And already you have very good applications running under these topics which are seen here, the areas which are seen here. If you can put in something from your end, now if you take insurance, you have something in mind, something unique in mind, and you want to do something unique in the project, then that is the best you can do. And let it be with manufacturing, or you may have parents working in a manufacturing unit, production unit. So you may want to automate it. So you may develop a software. And those who are working in finance, you may want your parents to use automated system. So you may go for it. Now there are people who do the software for medical shops. I'm sure you all have gone to medical shops and you have seen the softwares they are using. It's quite good. I always notice that. It's quite good. So if you can bring in some change in those projects, you develop your own and you can bring in change. Anything that you are seeing, let it be a bank, let it be a insurance, let it be finance, let it be medical shop, let it be grocery shop, let it be anything. When you are developing a project, you have to put in something from your side. Only then it is going to be different. Otherwise, it's going to be you have very well working projects already in the market and people are using it. So you try your own. Since you know programming, you know what's developing a project, you know what it is. Since you know programming, you have written programs, small programs, you have written large programs also. You try your hand in that. So you can go for any of these topics which are seen there. And also people do projects in networking. But in now, for example, my experience is in my whole these years of experience, the 17 years, in my college, I had, I think, 1 or 2 projects under networks. But hardly people go for networking projects, but that is also accepted. And e-commerce, the last thing that you see there, e-commerce is something that is like every child is going for online shopping projects. So when you go for developing online shopping projects, either you should try to create a replica of what is there already, because since you all are into some online shopping app, or say you use a system, you go for online shopping and you know how well the apps work. So you should have something like that, or please don't go for it. Just you go for showing some pics, you go for purchasing, you go for purchasing the product. It's not that. There are many more things that are happening behind, back end. We as an app user, we are only seeing the front end. But if you're developing an app, you must go for the back end also. You cannot just go for, you're not the end user. You cannot develop, you're not the end user. You have to develop that app completely. The database plays a very important role when you're going for an e-commerce project. So it cannot be just like as you're seeing, you see, you go for seeing the projects, you go for purchasing the projects, and it is not that much. The database, that plays a very important role. So you have to give importance to both back, what is happening behind, that is also important, and what is seen to the end user, that is also important. So this is very important with respect to e-commerce. Okay, so hope I could give you the information about what are the how should your front end be, how should your back end be, and what kind of applications you can develop. Now this is the documentation that I'm starting off. Hello. This is the documentation part that I'm starting off. So first comes the project report. So in the project report, you have the title. Now all that you see here, that is the title page, the original copy of the approved pro forma of the project proposal, certificate of authorized work, abstract, acknowledgement, table of contents, table. Now the first three, that is the title page, the original copy of approved pro forma, and certificate of authenticated work, the format is attached. I'm sure your teachers will give you the syllabus copy of SEM 5 and SEM 6. So when they give you the syllabus copy, to the very end of the syllabus, that is after SEM 6 syllabus, the actual format is being attached in the syllabus. You just have to add in your information, and that will form the first three options here. That is title page, that original copy, and the certificate. Now next comes abstract. Abstract will be what is your project in short. It is just one paragraph, say 6 to 7 lines. That much is enough. Some of them have the habit of writing a page. A page, I mean A4 size page. A4 size page with 1.5 line space and 12 font size and Times New Roman or Arial font. With this font, I'm saying, with 1.5 line space, I'm saying, people have the habit of writing one page abstract. That is not the way you write the abstract. Okay, so it should be maybe 5 to 6 lines in the A4 size page. That much is enough. In a gist, you will say what your project is. That should be the abstract. The next come acknowledgement. I think everybody is familiar with this. Acknowledgement is nothing but you're thanking people. So you have to write a half page. That can be your choice. Okay, you want to thank everybody in this world, you thank. That is your choice. So acknowledgement can be anything. You start from the principal, the head of the department, and your teachers. You go on and on like that. So that is going to be the thank note of to all. That is going to be there in acknowledgement. Now table of contents. When you talk about table of contents, it is the index. Now you know you use books, so there is an index in your book. It is exactly that. You'll have the chapters, chapter numbers. You have 7 chapters. So the 7 chapters, the sub topics in each chapter, all the page number, all that have to be written in table of figures. If you have charts, if you have graphs, if you have tables, so you have so all these, any figure. Now, for example, you are working on IoT projects, the hardware, each and every hardware, you will have a picture of each and every hardware. So you can have a page number here and you say this hardware is here. So all that can be written in table of figures. Okay. Next. So this is what I think you all need in the first, and later I will surely discuss about few projects which I have guided, and I have screenshots also. So that's going to be in the last part. So first, let me just introduce you to the chapters. I think students are very much interested in that, but you must also know what should be written in these chapters. Now, again, in your syllabus, you have stories written. What should be there under chapter 1, and under each side heading, what should be included. I'll just write in short, and if necessary, I'll share it with your teacher and they'll let you know how it has to be. It's nothing, I've not made a drastic change to what is being instructed by the University of Mumbai. I'll go with the words of University of Mumbai. I'll just make you understand what it is actually. So in chapter 1, in general, it is introduction, and under introduction, you have background. So I'm sure you all know what is, no one will make a mistake in writing what is meant by background. So this will be nothing but what work is done already in the project you are planning to do. For example, you are taking a medical shop, you are trying to develop a software for medical shop. How is it previously? Maybe it was manually, it has been done manually, or maybe there is a software which doesn't have what you are planning to add. So how is it before your project? That is what is meant by background. So that is what you will write in background. So hope I'm clear about it, and hope you are also having a clear idea about that. Now that's about background. Then comes objectives. You will exactly, in short, you will write what is going to be done in your project. In short, you will write what is going to be done in your project. So for example, if I take the medical shop example itself, or suppose you want to go for online test, you're going to develop a program to conduct online test. Now it is a very needy topic actually. In this lockdown period, teachers are really looking forward for online test. So you can go for a project which will conduct online, which will be used for conducting online test. So if you're going to do that, you will actually write things in this objective. You will write what you're going to design in the online test. How are you standing different from others? That is what you will actually write in your project. So that is about the objective. Then comes purpose, scope, and applicability. Purpose is, why did you choose to do this project? Purpose is, why did you choose to do this project? That is going to be projected in this purpose. What was the motivation to do this project? So you can write it. However, since it is documentation, you can write stories here. You are welcome to write stories, except in certain cases like objective cannot be stories. It cannot be a story. It has to be exactly what is your project. For example, abstract, it cannot be a story. So there are certain places where it cannot be stories, but there are certain places where you have to write a story. Hope you're very clear about that. Even in any subject, you're studying a subject, there are certain topics where you are not, for example, if it's a programming language subject, you are not allowed to write any story. The teacher who's teaching programming subject will not accept any story. But if it is any theory subject, you're welcome to write stories. So the same way, when you're writing a documentation, there are certain topics where you cannot add stories, and there are certain topics where you can write stories. Okay. So for example, purpose. This should give answers to questions on why this project is being done. You can add something, whatever you want. So then scope. What are the main issues being covered in this project? What was the issue before and how have you overcome, and what are the main functions that you will add to overcome those issues? The scope. Then applicability. The student should explain the applications. Now, where will your project be useful? Who will be using your project? How is it helpful to this computer world? To whom, to which people can use your project? That will be mentioned in applicability. Then comes achievements. Now, while doing the project, you have gained some knowledge. While doing the project, you have gained some knowledge. Also, you have achieved certain goals. That is, what did you think originally before the project? You thought you will do certain things with respect to a project, but after doing the project, after designing the project, after studying the project, you feel you can add more things, and you have you have really gained a vast knowledge. For example, I will tell you what my students say. Now, when a teacher teaches now I teach ASP.NET with C#. So when I teach ASP.NET with C#, or when any teacher teaches a subject, it need not be ASP.NET with C#. Any subject, when a teacher starts teaching, there is a syllabus given. So our main aim is to complete the syllabus, because you have exams after 2 months. After 2.5 months, you have exams. So what is the teacher's aim? Now, this is the teacher's hands are tied up actually, because this is a semester system, and after 2.5 months, the exam is there. The teacher is bound to complete the syllabus, because questions will be asked from the syllabus. But when you are developing a project, it has nothing to do with the syllabus. It is research on the topic. Only then you will get to do a project, and that time you really gain vast knowledge in that subject, and you feel, acha, it was this much, and what did we study? So what we are studying under syllabus is 0.00000. I'll go on adding zeros and then a 1. It's only that much percent you are studying actually in the syllabus. So when you do a project, you actually come to know the language, whichever, any language you take up. Start right from C. I'm saying you take up C. C is a C, S-E-A. I'm saying C is a C. You cannot cover everything in C. Let it be with C, C++, Java, any language you take, there is so much that we don't know. It is 99% we don't know, 1% we know. So let it be anybody I'm saying. No one can be an expert. So only when you're doing a project, something we'll study. At least 10% we'll come to know about the subject. 10% only I'm saying, with respect to BSc IT. When you go to industry, you actually come to learn things. When you work in IT, you actually come to know things. So please don't say teacher did not teach, so I did not. I don't want you all to react in that manner. Teachers have a limit. Of course, they will help you in doing the project. That much teachers can do. But please don't be completely dependent on the teachers. I know this college arranges lectures to be conducted by industry persons. So I really appreciate those efforts taken by this college. So hardly any college takes very few colleges take such efforts. I'm not negatively saying that, but I really appreciate this college, because I know I personally have interacted with the teachers here, and they conduct lectures from which is being conducted by industry persons, which is really helpful for you to know many things, that is the new technologies actually. So you should instead of putting blame on others, since you have YouTube, you have Google, and now you don't have college, why don't you? I know most of you are busy with the social network. Okay, you half a day you be with the social network, but the other half day, please explore on these subjects. Please don't wait for the teacher to tell you, you do this, you do that. You being an IT person, you know in IT, what is there today is not there tomorrow. So it is our duty to upgrade ourselves and to know things. So this knowledge that you have gained, that is what you will actually mention in achievements. So this is about chapter 1. Chapter 2 is something which everybody enjoys actually, survey of technologies. Students enjoy doing this. You have to Google for the technologies which were there before. For example, ASP.NET. So before that, what was there? Before, if you're using C#, before C#, what were the languages? So you will go for a comparative study of all the technologies that is existing, that was existing and still existing, the previous technologies, and then you will go for a comparative study. So that's going to be the survey of technologies, and you will be surprised to see the technologies that was existing before and the year it came out. The technology, when did this technology come out? When was this technology discovered? When was this technology designed? When you know the year, you will be really surprised. So you enjoy doing this survey of technologies. At least I've seen my students enjoying. Okay. Now next is requirements and analysis. The third chapter is requirements and analysis. Now after this, it's all things that you have studied in software engineering. So all those who have given the software engineering book to the book depot, please take it, go for it, and please study all the chapters in software engineering, because you will be able to provide the documentation for chapter 3, chapter 4, all this only if you have that book, and you will compare it with your project and you will document these topics. So you all know what is problem definition. So what is the project? What is the problem on which the students are working with respect to your project? Okay, you choose a project, and what are the problems? What is the actual problem that is there in the project? So that you have to define there. Requirement specification. Now, after identifying the problems in the existing system, the students will list down the requirements of the present system. So he will first study the existing system. Now some may have manual system, some may have an automated system already existing. If you have seen, most of the banks are automated, most of the insurance thing is automated, most of everything is almost digitalized. So you have to do something different from that. So you identify the problems in the existing system and then you go for a new system. Now that is about requirement specification. So this actually describes the everything that is there in the system and what action has to be done on these systems so that it becomes a very good software. Next is planning and scheduling. You know, every project or anything that you do in your life needs a plan, and this plan you must be very careful. You must go for identifying every small operation in your project, every small operation, every small task in your project. So first you have to identify that, and then you will think about how will I carry out this particular task. Now you may put down rules, you may put down constraints so that you can have a control over the your plan. And always there should be a plan A, there should be a plan B, so that even if plan A fails, you have a plan B. So this should be there. And scheduling is you must schedule, you must think, you must, for example, you are starting in say now June, from June 15th you're starting. You will decide from June 15th to June 30th what is your plan. Then from June 1st to July 1st to July 15th, what is your plan? July 15th to July 30th, what is your plan? So that you will show, that is what is your scheduling. Okay, scheduling is you will show it in the form of a Gantt chart, that is every week or every month what is your progress. You're going to draw a chart and you have to see whether you are pertaining to that, you are following that chart. So that is what is meant by Gantt chart. And also you have PERT, all this you have studied in software engineering. So please go through at least this lockdown period before, if your teachers are starting off with the ASP.NET, C# and Java and all those things, then it is okay. Otherwise, you at least go through the software engineering books to know what has to be, how the project has to be done. What are these things? At least do that much in this lockdown period. Then after this, next thing you all know, hardware and software requirements. So what is the software you're using? What is the hardware you need? You mean the PC, the configuration of the PC and all those things. If it is a Raspberry Pi, regarding that. If it's Arduino, regarding that. So all these things will come in hardware and software. Conceptual model is, this is, if you all have remember DBMS, database management system, the Korth book, if you have followed that, the ER chapter, hope you all know, ER diagram, entity relationship diagram, that's important. And also in software engineering, you have studied DFDs, data flow diagrams, that is important, and the flow chart, that is also important. And also they have added object oriented diagram, that is necessary. When you start with the project, you'll understand what it is. But I'm sure now you are understanding what is DFD and ER diagram. Flowchart, these three we have already seen. So ER diagram, another thing that you must remember with respect to ER diagram, you must remember this, please. Only if you have a database, you will have an ER diagram. Only if you have a database, you will have an ER diagram. And in the database, if you have say one table, or if you have two tables, you have 10 tables, but there is no PKFK relationship between these tables. There is no ER diagram. Okay, so such a thing is not a database. Database is collection of tables. No, what is the definition we have studied? Database is interrelated collection of tables. So it has to be related, otherwise it's of no use. It is not a database. Okay, so if you have tables in your database, there should be a relationship between one table and the other. Otherwise you are not going, it is not normalized also. Okay, you all know what's normalization. So it has to be normalized. That means you're splitting the table into more than one. If it is normalized, they are related. Okay, so if they are related, that means there is a PKFK relationship. Then only you will form, then only there is an ER diagram. What is ER diagram? You have two entities and in between you draw a diamond symbol. You remember that's a relationship. So that's because these two are related. Now in ER diagram, you have the entity set which is there in the rectangle form, and that rectangle thing is the tables with respect to your database. So ER diagram is existing only if you have a database with collection of tables related with each other. Otherwise, ER diagram is not. And let me tell you, a database with just 10 tables existing without any relationship is of no use. Let me tell you, very frankly, it is of no use. Now, if your aim is somehow you have to just clear in the project and come out, anybody can do anything. Let us not go for marks. Let us do the project to understand the concept that we have studied in these 3 years. Okay, let us think like that. Let us gain something for ourselves, not for your teacher, not for your parents. It's only for you. So let us do something for ourselves. Let us understand, or what have we done in the BSCIT? That comes out in project, that comes out in your project. So let us not do anything for anyone else. Let us do it for ourselves. Now you may say some of them are not interested in pursuing the future in IT. Then it is okay. Then it is not a problem. It is not a problem. But others, those who are planning to be in IT, please put in efforts, and I'm sure you will enjoy. Now in my students, I have 50% of students who are enjoying doing the project. Of course, I have 50% of students who are just doing it for the name, for the sake of doing it. But when they enjoy, when they come and share it with me, it's really great, you know. And now they report to me today, and next day it is not, something is not working. Next day I get calls at 11 o'clock, ma'am, it's working. So that is something that you personally enjoy, and instead we teachers also enjoy. So you actually get into the project and you work. Of course, this 1 year is going to be very hectic for you, because you will be You may get ideas at 11 o'clock, 12 a.m. You may get ideas and you may work on it. So I have students like that. I'm sure you are also, most of you are like that. Those who are planning to be in IT, those who are not planning to be in IT, it is okay. That is not a problem. So that is about chapter 3. Then you have chapter 4. This is basically you will decide on what are the modules you're going to work on. Now, for example, say there is a online test application that you're planning. For example, you will have a registration module, you will have a login module, you will have the examiner module, that is the teacher, you will have a responder module, that is the student, then you will have a result module, the processing of the result of the student, then you'll have a statistics module. What does it do? It will show you the chart, what is the progress of the student. Then you'll have a feedback module. So many modules. This is, I'm just taking an example of a test, online test application. So when you take an online test application, suppose you're planning to do a computer-based online test application, computer-based test application or online test application, however you want to name it, you can name it. So you will have modules in this manner. So how many modules did I say now? 7 modules I've said. So you will decide on the modules that will form a project.
Hello. Hello, Viju miss.
Hello, madam.
Hello, Viju miss. Hello.
Sir, hello.
Hello, Viju miss. Hello, Smita miss.
Hello.
Hello, Smita
Hello,
miss.
sir.
Viju miss आहे की नाहीये?
ते लेफ्ट झाले. 2 मिनिटं मी कॉल करते त्यांना. लेफ्ट झाले सर ते.
Okay.
प्रॉब्लेम आलाय, मी बघते मी. 1 मिनिट सर.
Okay. Hello, Viju madam. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Yeah, ma'am. You continue. You continue. Yeah.
One
You continue.
second. To share your screen, ask the organizer to. I am not a presenter, sir.
तुमचा voice mute करा. Smita ma'am, voice mute करा.
Hello, Rupesh. I am not a presenter now.
Yeah. Just a second.
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. You can continue. You are now presenter. You can continue.
Yes. Okay. It's seen. My screen is seen.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah. You can continue.
Okay. So sorry, students, for the technical problem. So now I was talking about the basic modules. So if it is an online test application, I just mentioned 7 modules. So you should identify the modules with respect to your project. So that is very important in basic modules. That is what you're going to do in basic modules. Then the data design. This is very, very important. This is what I was talking about, the tables. So under data design, you have schema design. You all know what's a schema design. The actual database, the database, that is your tables, collection of tables. And you have to set, what is data integrity and constraints. So you have to set the value. The constraints will be added when you are creating a table. You are adding constraints and all those things. So that all this you have already come across. We can add constraints while designing the table so that we don't allow any kind of entries there. So that is about the data design. In procedural design, actually they are talking about logic diagrams. Now what is this logic diagrams? What they're trying to say is control flow chart or process diagrams. So we have already seen what is meant by flow charts. So in flow charts, actually you have symbols to be followed. That is compulsory for you to represent each node by a predefined symbol. You cannot use your own symbols in flow chart. Okay. Whereas in the case of the control flow charts, you can go for any kind of symbols. So there actually you are showing your showing the flow of the project, whereas in the case of flow chart you have symbols which has to be followed strictly, which is not there in the case of flow the control flow charts. Okay, so here in the document they have given control flow charts comma process diagrams, but please note control flow chart and process diagram all are same. It is or actually. So in your syllabus they have given and sorry comma, so please don't get confused with that. And the data structures that you are using. Now for example, you have a module. In that module you have written a code for that module. What are the data structures you have used? Arrays and all those things. So whatever data you have used, structures, struct, you have used arrays. So whatever data structure you are using, you please mention the data structure. And algorithm, next is algorithm design. You have to properly mention what is the input data for your project, what is the process that is happening in your project, what is the output data in the project. So you should explain the actual algorithm. What are the different, for you it's not going to be the, though you are going to go for the algorithm design, that is in the documentation in SEM 5 you are not showing implementation. You are just going to show that this is going to be the input to my project, this is the process I will do in my project, this is going to be the output of my project. So you will just write in words. Algorithm is writing the process or the action or the operation or the task in the form of English sentences. That doesn't mean anything and everything. I am sure you all know what are the rules to follow to write an algorithm, which you have studied in SEM 1 under C programming. So that you have to follow those rules. So that is the that is regarding algorithm design. User interface design. Okay, this is something, for example, you are seeing a PPT, you are able to do something here. This is a user interface with respect to PowerPoint presentation. So each one will have different user interface. Like that, you also have to design a user interface to enter data. There should be something seen on the screen, is it not? Only then you can enter data. So that is called user interface design. Wherever the user can enter data, that is called the user interface design. So you have to show a rough pictorial representation of how the interface should be. That should be shown in user interface. Security issues is, this is difficult for us to implement actually. So they are saying you have to consider real-time situations, and then you have to talk about security. Is your application secure and all those things. So this, I think you can, if necessary, you include, otherwise you say there is no specific security taken care. You can mention that also, no problem. Next is test cases design. So here, once you plan that you're going to do this project, how will you know that your project is working correctly or not? You have to test your project. Test your project. I'm not talking about unit testing and integrated testing. I'm not talking about that. This is different. Test case design is, under your project, you have to test with some data. Only when you test your project with data, you will know whether there are errors or not. So you will plan what kind of data will I give as input for this project, and what am I planning to give as input to this project for as test cases, and find out if there is any error or not. Now, if you take the case of online test, now I am giving the student details. Now I try to add something extra, then it gives an error. So only when I test the algorithm or the module or the complete project with the live data, I will get to know the errors. So you will design the test case. You cannot test it because you are not implementing. It's just a documentation. So you will decide, okay, I will test with this student data. I will test with teacher data. I will test with employee data. So this you will design. You will just decide and keep. That's all. Next. So till chapter 4, it is semester 5. Then in semester 6, chapter 5 starts. That is the implementation. So this is what is very important for you. So the implement, or students are interested. It's boring for you. Now my students' feedback I'll give you. Without implementing, how will we document? That is there. I'm sure every student's question is, without implementing, how are we going to write these chapters? So how do we actually go? Anything that you do in your life, you plan. Actually, you don't directly get into the thing, is it not? You don't directly fall into whatever you want to do. You will plan, okay, I'll do this, I'll try to do this, I'll try to do this, and then you would fall into, or you get into the actual situation and you face it. Okay, so that is how you do it. So so though the students say that without implementation I cannot, this is just you're deciding a blueprint, like what are you planning to do. That is only there in sem 5, and in sem 6 you will actually implement it. Whatever you have decided in sem 5, you will code it in sem 6. So the implementation part now here, the first thing in chapter 5, implementation and testing, what they're actually saying is, you are going to code it, and you're going to, how are you going to code it? When you see what is meant by implementation under software engineering, you have studied that the organization will call you there to their place to develop and implement, so that they can, when you are developing say a module, immediately you can test it with the organization, because you are developing it sitting in the organization. Hope you're following what I'm saying. If you're doing a project for an organization, we have had real-time projects previously. Nowadays, it's not there. When BSc IT started, the first batch was in 2004. So in 2004, 2005 and 2006, we had real-time projects. Or rather, we had 90% of real-time projects. That time, students were very less. But now, real-time projects is not possible. So what they do is, even we have had BARC projects. So where they actually go to BARC, and they develop the project, and it is immediately tested. That is why you see this chapter, implementation and testing. That is why it is written like that. You implement and you test it. You implement, you test it. Now this was possible before, but nowadays you all don't have that. I mean, if it is real time, it is like that. If it is not real time, it is not like that, because you are only implementing, you are only testing, and when you test, you feel everything is fine. Only when a third person tests it, you will actually know what is the problem. When you test your software, it's all fine. Only when a third person, someone whom you don't know, if that person tests, you will actually find the mistakes in you. So what they're trying to say in implementation is, sometimes the organization will call you for there, and you can implement. Sometimes that doesn't happen. You can do it at your place, anywhere, say college, your home, anywhere you can sit and implement, you can develop, and then you go there to the organization, you implement. Sometimes the organization says, okay, your work is over, you have developed, you have given it to us, finished. We will take care of the implementation. Things happen like that also. So you all, I'm sure you all have come across such I mean, you have heard of such situations. So all this is happening. So what they're trying to say in implementation is, how are you going to do that? So you may have standards. Define the plan of implementation and standards the students have used in implementation. How have you implemented it? Did you go to the organization? Did you implement it there? And then you did the test, you did the testing there, and you got to know what are the errors. Then you come back to your place and you develop it again. You go back to the organization, you implement it again. So it can be like that also. So you will set your own standards. That is what you're going to write here. Next is coding details and code efficiency. So here is what they're trying to say is the University of Mumbai says you need not include the full source code. Now, suppose you're working for organizations like BARC, they will not allow you to attach the code in the documentation. They give a letter instead saying that you are not allowed to show the code. So if in that letter, it is clearly written that you are not allowed to expose the code. In that case, you need not attach the code in the black book. But suppose there is no such things, you're not doing for any, or the organization is free to, it's allowing you to show the source code to anyone so that anyone can use it, no problem, you get a letter like that. So if not allowed, if you're not going to attach the source code in the black book, then a letter is a must in the black book. There should be a letter saying that the source code will not be allowed to be, it will not be explicit, no one can access the source code. So such a letter should be there. So it's not, they are saying it's not necessary that you have to attach the full source code. You may have source code running to say 50 to 60 pages when you develop a project. Instead, you can just attach the important parts of the code that is allowed. That is what University of Mumbai is saying. So that's your choice. So but they are saying if you're attaching a code, comments is very much necessary, because anybody who's seeing the code should understand why that part of the code is there. That is very much necessary. And you please follow this for yourself, not for others. You please comment when you're writing a piece of code. Please add a comment for yourself to know. You may develop a code, say June 15th, and you finished it. You're finished testing the code. You're opening it in October. You should know what that code is it not? What that code was for. You have finished that module. In October, you're working with some other module. So you have already finished developing, testing a module. You keep it aside. You go for another module. You should, when you come back to this first module, you must know what this module is. So it's always better to add a comment so that you will know what your code is for. Okay. And also you can add a, what to say, okay, that is enough for coding details. Code efficiency is when, suppose for example, you have a task, or you have an operation, and in C language, I'm just explaining it to you. In C language, you use 5 instructions or 5 lines of C code to perform a particular operation. Now, what is meant by code efficiency or code optimization is, I cut down these 5 lines and I'm able to do the task which was being performed in these 5 lines in 2 lines. That is called code optimization in simple words. I'm telling in simple words. I'll not say that is only code optimization. I'm just telling you in simple words, where the runtime is less. Okay. Now that and all, I don't know how far you will be able to do it. But they are just saying, if possible, add it. Next is something which you all know, testing. So in this, I have included only 2 testing, unit testing and integrated testing, which is what we do. There are many more testing that you have studied, but we go for unit testing and integrated testing. Since we have modules, you give a data and you test a module, that is what is meant by unit testing. Each module you test, that is what is meant by unit testing. What is integrated testing? All the modules together will form a project for you. So the complete project you test, that is what is meant by integrated testing. So this, I think everybody know. Modification and improvement is after performing these testings, what did you feel? Which part of the program have to be changed? Which part of the project have to be changed so that the testing, it comes out well after testing. So that is what is modification. Test cases is, I explained this there. You have designed the test case there. You can apply the test case here. That is what you are applying the test case here. You have designed it in the chapter 4 and you are applying it here. That is what this test case is. Next is results and discussion. This is also very important. After testing, what are the reports that were generated? You have to give different inputs and you have to show the outputs. So you will show the screenshots. So you will be giving some inputs, and based on the test cases, you have already done test cases. So now you will give live the actual input and you will show the outputs. So this is very much necessary. Next is user documentation, the same as your manual. Any software that is coming out in the market has a manual. So using this documentation, anybody who is using your software will know what your software is. Okay, so to some extent you work on this. So that is your chapter 6, and chapter 7 is conclusions. Conclusion is, first part, conclusion is summarization of all the 6 chapters that you have written. You have to summarize it in conclusion. Limitation of the system is what your project cannot do. Later you will be able to modify. You can modify. Your project does this much only. Your project does not do this. You have to mention that clearly. My project will do this only. My project will not do this. You have to clearly mention that. It is not an offense. You have your limitations. Your project will do only this much work. The rest, it will not do this work. You can clearly mention that in limitation of the system. Future scope is what you're planning to do in future, current project that you have taken up. So that is what you will mention in future scope of the project. Next is references. You have referred to any material in Google, any material in YouTube, any textbook, any research papers, all this, the references have to be mentioned. You have to acknowledge the work of others. Okay, if you have referred to the work of others, you have to show the references here. You have to show it. That's compulsory. Okay, and next is glossary. Is nothing but suppose you're using acronyms, abbreviations, symbols, some terms which are not common, you have to mention in glossary. So that I'm sure all this you know, all these are there in or any textbook that you refer, you get to see all this. Okay, so these are the chapters that you have to add in your documentation. Of course, the 4 chapters you will document it separately in SEM5. You will submit it as a journal. It's a spiral bound journal that you will submit. You will be assessed by an external examiner and you will be given marks out of 50. Then in SEM6, you have to do the implementation part and you have to add chapter 1 to chapter 7 in the black book. Chapter 1 to 4 with assessment, examiner, signature, everything will be the first part of the book. The second part will be the implementation part. Chapter 5 to 7 you will include. The whole thing you will submit as a black book. So you have the signature of the external examiner should be there in that black book in the first part. In the second part, you will have this the other chapters. Okay, so that is about the documentation of the project. Now, when you come to Viva, the external examiner and the internal examiner has all rights to ask the student to write a code for any small operation or write the code for anything that you have projected as a project. Okay, so anything that you have projected, the teacher, the internal examiner and the external examiner have the right to ask. For example, they can ask you to write. That is what I have written here. And the one that I said, it has to be spiral bound in SEM5 and hard bound in SEM4, SEM6. And groups. Groups is a major issue, though University of Mumbai says groups of 4. I have not changed that. But I feel individual, well and good. 2, better. Okay. Best is individual. Better is 2. Now, more than 2, it is allowed, 4 is allowed, but I don't think, especially in certain colleges, they opt only for individual and certain colleges opt for 2 in a group. Of course, we sometimes allow 3 in a group. Maybe they are very thick friends and they want to do together. So we don't stop all that. It is okay. When we know they are capable, they will do, we allow 3 in a group also, but I will not advise 4 in a group. You must have a very big project, which is almost impossible nowadays to get. You really have to work on a very big project. And it is not, why I'm using the word almost impossible is, you have 10 subjects to study, theory, practical, in this third year, plus you have to do your project work also. So coordinating with each other, for the four of you coordinating with each other and then working on the project, it's really going to be a problem. I will not say it is impossible. That's why I said almost impossible. You can. Some people
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir.
बंद हो गया था.
Hello, Rupesh sir.
Hello. Hello. If I am able to hear, then they can also hear, no? Hello.
Hello? Hello? Guys, we will start very soon. There is some technical issue. We will start very soon. There was some technical issue. We will start very soon. All the participants be ready with your
Speaker ही
questions.
on नहीं
All the participants be ready with your questions. All the
Hello.
participants be ready. Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. You can continue. You can continue. Hello?
One second. There is a few things more. Please.
Yeah, ma'am. You can
I am
continue.
the presenter. No?
Yeah, yeah. You are now presenter only. You are now presenter only.
Okay. Can you see my screen? You can see my screen.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, 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 ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah, ma'am. Yeah, yeah. Your screen is
Yeah.
visible, ma'am. You can continue.
Yes, yes. Okay. So now, students, I'll just show you few projects which my students have done. Idea about how you it. Okay. So this is something you all were waiting for. So now hope you all can see. Now this is something. So you see, this is there is, you know, you have come across Alexa and Google Assistant. So one of my students developed the same thing. He named it as Alexa Pi. he used Raspberry Pi and Python.
Ma'am, hello, ma'am. Hello, hello,
If you can
hello,
do, yes. Hello.
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 Ma'am,
Okay, yes,
yeah, your screen, ma'am, your screen not visible, ma'am. Your screen.
my screen is not visible.
Yeah. Your screen is not visible. Just a second, just a second. Hello. हॅलो स्मिता मॅम, बिजू मॅमला परत जॉईन करायला सांगा. हा ओके ओके ओके
सर सांगते 1 मिनिट.
ओके. बिजू मॅम, you are now presented. You can share your PPT.
Hello.
Yeah, ma'am, you can share your PPT. You are now presenter. You can share your PPT.
Hello.
Biju ma'am, you can share your PPT. You are now presenter.
Okay, okay. Okay, you can see now. Hello, you can see
Yeah,
the
yeah.
PPT now.
Yeah. There will be some
Okay.
code there. There is some code there. Yeah.
Yes, code. Here. Hello, students. I've tried to show screenshots of few projects. So you all know you have come across Alexa and Google Assistant. So just like that, my student developed one assistant. He named it as Alexa Pi. He developed this in Raspberry Pi and using Raspberry Pi. So you just enlarge the screen, you can see the software is asking to enter your name. You enter the name, and you can. There was a mic attached using the Raspberry Pi. There was a mic attached, and the student or anybody can say something to the mic, and you see on the screen. So you just enlarge it and see. You can see. And as the person is speaking, it is seen on the screen. So this is one example. In the next screen also you can see it is saying say something, and then this user means me, either me or the student, any student can say tell me about the weather, and it gives every information about the weather. So this thing was developed by one student last year, means it was 2019-20, and it was really a good, and that student experienced or had a very good experience developing this. He learned so many things, though we have studied Python also, but incorporating it using Raspberry Pi, he studied it by himself and he did it. So this is one project. Another thing, this is a very simple project. This is booking system. Now what I'm trying to say is every project has something. Every project is difficult. It is not easy. No project is easy. That you must first remember. This is just a booking system. I have only shown one screen. There are so many screens like accessing the details of the customer, adding the value details. All these things are there, but I'm just showing you the booking screen. If you see here, that person is entering the name, and you can enter the name for whom you have to book. And there is a calendar scene there. If you notice the calendar, only the to do the setting, only days of June is being seen. And if the you see a date in red color there. Sorry, not white. This one, this sorry, I like the screen. So if you see here, you hello.
Hello, Biju ma'am. Hello. Hello, Biju ma'am. Hello.
Arey yaar. Hello.
Hello, Biju ma'am. Hello, Biju ma'am. Hello.
Yes, yes, I can hear.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Ma'am, you can continue, ma'am.
लेकिन
You
ना
can continue.
ये म्यूट हो रहा है अपने आप कोई म्यूट तो नहीं कर रहा ना?
नहीं मैम, नहीं नहीं मैम, कोई म्यूट
वो
नहीं हो रहा है.
म्यूट अपने आप म्यूट हो रहा है इधर. व्हेन आई
एक
कम इन
काम
नो आई
करो
एम
आप.
सीइंग.
या ओके, एक लीव करके फिर से ऐड हो जाओ ना, बाहर आके फिर से ऐड हो जाओ.
नहीं, अभी सुनाई दे रहा है ना? अभी मैं
या
प्रोसीड
अभी
करूं?
सुनाई दे रहा है. या अभी कंटिन्यू करो, आप कंटिन्यू करो.
हाँ, ओके. हेलो.
या मैम, कंटिन्यू. यू कैन
हेलो.
कंटिन्यू.
You can
या
see?
मैम, यू कैन कंटिन्यू. यू कैन कंटिन्यू.
Okay. Now, this is a digital door lock system. In this, they have used Arduino. If you notice here, there is a keypad there. So only the person who knows the password, when he types the correct password, the door will open. Otherwise, the door will not open. So that is what is seen over here. So if my students are doing any project related to Arduino, Raspberry Pi, IoT things, I ask them to make a miniature of whatever they are planning to, so that we can see something live. So this is like digital door lock system. So it locks itself digitally, and only you can open it digitally. So you go for typing a password, and if there is an error, it displays that it is an error. So you're getting to see a password error here. Now this is one thing, and this is a conventional style of project development. This is called a form. So this is what is called a form. So this is for a housing society management. Now in this form, you can enter the details and you can store it in the database. Now there is a misunderstanding among the students that if you increase the number of forms, you will get marks. That is not there. Okay. So even if it is 3 forms but perfectly working, that is more than enough. It is not necessary that you need 10 forms, 20 forms for you to get marks. If you increase the forms, you yourself will be confused about what are the tables I am using, what is the PKFK relationship I am using, where is my data getting stored. You yourself will be confused. So it's better to work with less forms, but in the best manner. Let it work properly. You must have all these buttons. You see, sorry, I'm forgetting to swipe the screen. So this is the form I was talking about. So you have all the buttons there. You have print button, you have print preview button, you have save, you have back button. All these things are there. So this is what is meant by a form. I forgot to swipe the screen, students. Sorry. So this is another, again, it is another design of the same form, housing society management. So this girl had done a project for her housing society, where she's keeping track of all the details about the tenants and all those who are on rent and everything, the parking details, everything she was maintaining details about. So the myth about forms or the misunderstanding about forms, please do not think that increasing the number of forms is the best way, but that will actually confuse you. If you have less forms, it is the best, and you show the complete working of the forms, that's the best. Now next is, this is the online thing.